Hey guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you my profitable trading strategy that I've used in order to quit my job and become a profitable full-time trader. So in this video, we're going to go over exactly what you need to look for in order to take these trades. And not only that, but I'm also going to be giving you real life examples from trades that we've actually taken inside of the VIP group just last week. So if you're not part of the VIP group and you want to start taking these trades with us, then click that link down in the description. But without further ado, let's jump straight into this video. So this trading strategy is super simple. It only has 4 components. So step 1, we're going to wait for a sweep of either side of the Asia session range. Step 2, we're going to wait for a 5-minute market structure shift. Step 3, we're going to take our entry at the order block or the fair value gap which caused the market structure shift. And step 4, we're going to target the opposing liquidity. So if we sweep the lows, we're going to target the highs. And if we sweep the highs, we're going to target the lows. Nice and simple. So let's go over a utopian example so you know exactly what you're going to look for. First, you're going to identify the high and then the low of the Asia session range. So the Asia session range happens between the times of midnight and 7 a.m. UK time. So you're going to identify the highest point and the lowest point between these two times. Once you've done that, you've now identified this range, and now you're simply going to wait for price to break out of either side. So essentially what we're waiting for is price to break and close above either side of this range. So let's say, for example, we break and close above the highs. That means we've now swept the high of the Asia session range, and we're going to be looking for shorts to go down to the lows of the Asia session range. So now that we've had a sweep, we're going to move on to step 2, which is to wait for a 5-minute market structure shift. So let's say price is creating a series of higher highs and higher lows. You're then going to wait for price to break its most recent higher low. And this will mean that we've now put in a lower low and we've had a shift in market structure from bullish to bearish. Once we've seen this, we can now safely assume that the market wants to go lower. And then we're going to move on to step 3, which is to identify the fair value gap or the order block which caused that market structure shift. So once we've identified that fair value gap or that order block, we're then going to take our entry at the open, stops go above the high, and we simply target the opposing liquidity, which in this case is going to be the Asia lows. So that is, in its most simplest form, exactly what we need to do in this trading strategy. 4 steps, that's it. Nice and simple. You can trade this on currencies, you can trade this on indices, and you wait for a 5-minute market structure shift. Now, inside of the VIP group, I'll go into more detail into exactly how we're going to trade this strategy. But for now, this is the bare bones and the basics of exactly what you need to do, and you can still be profitable using this. So now that we've taken a look at a utopian example, let's take a look at a real life example of a trade that we actually took inside of the VIP group just this week. And I really need you guys to watch this video all the way to the end, because the next example is actually going to show you how you're going to utilize this strategy and manage it properly. On the 12th of November 2024 at exactly 8:04 in the morning, I sent this US30 buy limit into the VIP group. Now, when I sent this trade, this is where price was, this is where market structure was, and we were anticipating a tap into this fair value gap and then a run to take profit. Now, as we can see, we smashed TP for a nice 1.8% gain on the account. And as you can see, I also sent this trade before it happened with a screenshot and the numbers of exactly what the VIPs were supposed to type in. So let's go over this example. Now, coming onto our charts, we can see that the Asia session range is highlighted by this neat blue box. Now, I use an indicator called the Asia session range by Rob Minty. And the reason I use an indicator is because it just makes it a little bit easier where I don't have to identify the highs and the lows myself. Now, if you're just starting out, I would highly recommend that you mark this out yourself, because it will give you experience of exactly what to look for. And sometimes the indicator may even be wrong. So you always have to make sure that the indicator is telling you the truth, because if it isn't, then it's only you who's going to take a wrong trade. So we've now identified that this is our Asia session range. So now we're simply going to wait for a sweep of either side. So if I play price on, we can see that eventually we get a sweep of the lows right there. So once we've had a sweep of the lows, we can now move on to step 2, which is to wait for a market structure shift. So again, if we take a look at what structure is doing, we can see that we've got a lower high and then a lower low. Therefore, in order for us to get a market structure shift, we need price to break above this previous lower high, indicating that it wants to go higher. So if price breaks and closes above here, we can safely assume that we've gone from a bearish trend to a bullish trend, and price is going to put in a higher low and then a continuation into a higher high. So now we're simply waiting for step 2 to play out. And as we can see right there, we get a market structure shift and price puts in a higher high. This means we've got the indication that price wants to go higher, and we now move on to step 3, which is to identify the order block or the fair value gap which caused the market structure shift. And as we can see, this fair value gap is what caused this market structure shift. So now we take our entry at the open, stops go below the low, and we move on to step 4, which is to take the trade to the opposing liquidity, which in this case ends up being the Asia highs. So once I saw all of this happen, I then again sent this trade into the VIP group to let everyone know that I was going to be entering into the market. And once we've done that, we simply sit back, wait for price to tap us in, and go to our take profit. 4 steps: identify the Asia session range, wait for a sweep, wait for a market structure shift, identify the fair value gap or order block that caused the market structure shift, and that is it. So now let's move on to the second example, and this was the trade that we took yesterday again at 8:52 in the morning. Now I really need you to pay attention here because sometimes you're going to have to actively start managing your positions. And the reason why I say this is because sometimes the market is going to tell you what it's going to do, and it is your job as a trader to listen and react. So yesterday at 8:52, I sent this US30 buy limit into the VIP group. Step 1, we come onto our charts and we identify the Asia session range. Now again, this is between the times of midnight and 7 a.m. UK time. So once we've identified the range, we're then simply going to wait for a sweep of either the high or the low. So now if I play price on, we can see that right there we get a sweep of the lows. So once we've had a sweep of the lows, we move on to the next step, which is to wait for a market structure shift. So let's quickly identify structure. We've got a lower low, lower high, and now a lower low. So in order for us to get a market structure shift, we really need price to break above this lower high right here. And once it does that, we can safely assume that the markets have shifted from bearish to bullish. So now again, if I play price on, we can see that we don't break the high just yet. So we're still chopping around, and then eventually we finally get a market structure shift. So now once we've got that market structure shift, we're now going to identify the order block or the fair value gap which gave us that market structure shift. And this order block is the one that actually gave us the market structure shift, because due to this order block, we had this bullish momentum out, which gave us a break above the previous lower high. So now we take our entry right here, stops go below the low, and we simply target the opposing liquidity, which in this case was the Asia high. So now we've got our trade. Now we wait for price to come and tap us in. And as we can see, we get tapped in right there and the price immediately starts to pull away. So once we see this, we can safely assume that price is going to go in our intended direction. And again, this is where I sent the limit into the VIP group and everyone was able to take this trade with me. But now this is where you have to pay attention to the market. As I said, the market will always tell you what it wants to do, and it is your job as a trader to react. So if I slowly play price on, what we can start to notice is that price starts to slow down. You see, we had all of this momentum right here. We then had this momentum, and we had this momentum, and then price just decided to slow down. Now, if we calculate this with a ruler, that is 20 minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of price slowing down. Now that's 25 minutes that we've slowed down. And now we've started to retrace. So this is actually where I told everyone in the VIP group to close the position for 1% gain because volume was slowing down massively. Now here's me sending the screenshot, here's me telling everyone to close the position. And as we can see, I sent the trade at 8:52 and at 10:23, I told everyone to close the position due to slow volume. And what happens next? Price turns the opposite way. And if I hadn't told everyone to close their position, then we would have been taken out at break even. Now, yes, the trade did end up playing out, but this was due to CPI news. Now, we never want to trade when there is news. So we would have either been break even or we would have closed for a small profit. However, I realized that momentum was slowing down and I told everyone to exit their position. And this is why I say as a trader, it is your job to listen to the market and understand what it is trying to tell you so that you can react. We are simply reactionists. We don't predict the market. We react to what the market does. So That was the trade that we took yesterday and we closed for a 1% gain. So that pretty much sums up this entire trading strategy with all 4 steps that you need to take, which is wait for a sweep, wait for a market structure shift, identify the fair value gap or the order block, and target the opposing liquidity. So you've got the 4 steps that you need in order to execute these trades. I've also shown you a utopian example and 2 real life examples that we took inside the VIP group so that you can go ahead and start taking these trades yourself. So if you guys did enjoy this video and learn something new, then please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you are part of the VIP group, then I highly recommend you click that link down in the description and come and join the community. But on that note, I hope everyone has a great trading day and I'll catch you guys in the next video.